What's up everyone, welcome back to another tutorial. It's your girl Benna. Today we are going to be looking at how to make this very easy crochet shell stitch beach skirt. If it's something you're interested in, please stick around. It has a slit design at the front, so let's get some materials and get started. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel. So for the materials today, you'll be needing medium weight yarn. Well, this is seagull yarn and it's a bit thin, so I'll be doubling my strand. You'll need at least 4 pairs of these if you're going to use the same brand, or at least 4 balls of a medium weight yarn, depending on the length you want for the skirt. We shall also be making use of a measuring tape and a 4mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors plus a darning needle to weave in all our ends. And for this particular project we shall be working with our hip measurement, because this is going to be a free skirt. You're going to make a slip knot and you're going to make a foundation chain that can go around your hips without stretching. And also this foundation chain should be a multiple of 5. So make a foundation chain equivalent to a multiple of 5 and should be able to just go around your hips without stretching. So I'm done, and for my case I worked a total of 200 chains. Yeah, I'm working with a hip measurement of 40 and these were just enough to go around my hips. So we are going to make this into a loop, and to achieve that, just observe what I'm doing. We want to connect back to the very first chain that we did. So just hold your work in a way that it's straight, but just slide it in between your fingers as you go down. Just slide it as you go down till you reach the very last stitch. This just ensures that our chain is not twisted, because we don't want it to be twisted by the time we join in. So just keep going down gently, sliding it down, and when you reach the last stitch you're just going to insert your hook, grab your yarn once again, and we are going to finish this by making a slip stitch. So that brings us to our loop that we said we wanted. Should have something like that. Yeah, that's enough to go around our hips. So you're going to make a chain of 3, and this counts as our first double crochet. The chain 3 will count as our first double crochet, and then you're going to yarn over and go into the next stitch with 1 double crochet. Place a double crochet into the next stitch or chain stitch, place a double crochet into the next, place 1 double crochet into the next, one double crochet into the next, and you're just going to keep on placing 1 double crochet into each and every stitch below without skipping any. Place just 1 double crochet into all the stitches till you get back to the very beginning. So keep working and I'll meet you back when you're at the end. So I'm done, and I was able to lay down my work, and you can see it looks flat, which is exactly what I want you guys to have. Make sure that your work is not twisted. Also go ahead and confirm that the double crochets you have around are the exact same number of chain stitches you made for your foundation. Okay, so mine were 200 and I have 200 double crochets. So when all that is accurate, we can go ahead and finish off this part. So to conclude this part, we are going to go on top of that chain 3 or our first double crochet, and we shall make a slip stitch. Just go to the top of it and make a slip stitch. And now we are going to make a chain of 3, which counts as our first double crochet. Go back into that same stitch with 1 more double crochet, chain 2, and place 2 more double crochets into the same stitch. So now we've started building on our shells, because this skirt is a shell stitch skirt. So you're going to make a chain of 4. After that shell, make a chain of 4, and now you're going to skip 4 stitches. So just yarn over, skip 4 stitches like that, and into the next you're going to make a shell, which we've said is 2 double crochets into the stitch that follows, chain 2, followed by 2 more double crochets into the same stitch. So you should have a shell, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, then chain up 4, chain 4, skip 4 stitches, and into the next stitch make a shell, which we said is 2 double crochets, chain up 2, and 2 more double crochets. Like that, chain up 4, skip 4 stitches, and into the next you're going to make a shell, 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 more double crochets. Chain up 4, skip 4 stitches, and into the next make a shell. So that is basically the pattern repeat. We shall be making shell stitches every after 4 stitches, but still chaining 4 in between. And this is what you should have. So you're going to go all the way around repeating this very pattern, and I'll meet you back at the starting point. Alright guys, so towards the end you should be ending up with only 4 stitches. If you did follow the instructions of making that multiple of 5, should leave you with 4 stitches only. So after your last chain of 4, you're going to skip the remaining 4 stitches, 1 2 3 and 4, and you're going to place a slip stitch on top of that chain 3 from the start. Make a slip stitch right there, and after that you're going to go into the next double crochet with a slip stitch, and into the middle of the shell with a slip stitch. Then you're going to chain up 3 and make a shell into that shell or on top of it. So 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 more double crochets. Remember the chain 3 already is a double crochet, so that means we already have 2 at the beginning followed by 2 more. So this time we are going to be skipping, sorry, not skipping, but chaining 5. Going forward with the pattern, we shall be chaining 5, not 4. So after chaining 5, you're going to place a shell on top of the next shell. Sorry. Place a shell on top of the next shell. So make 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space, chain 2, and then 2 more double crochets. Chain up 5 and make a shell on top of the next shell. 2 double crochets, chain 2 followed by 2 more double crochets, chain 5, 2 double crochets, chain 2 and 2 more double crochets, chain 5 and make a shell on top of the next shell. Chain 5, a shell onto the next shell, and that's going to be our pattern repeat all the way around for this second row of the body of the skirt. I'm going to keep on repeating, making a shell on top of a shell separated by a chain 5 this time. So go all the way around and I'll meet you. You have just one shell stitch left. So I'm at the end and I only have that last shell stitch which was at the beginning, as you can see. So after my last chain of 5, I'll make a slip stitch on top of the third chain, which was also our first double crochet. So you're going to, oh sorry, before you go on, first go into the next double crochet with a slip stitch and go into the middle of the shell. So make sure you always go into the middle of the shell whenever you finish a round, and then you make a shell in the middle of it, which is 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets like that, then chain 5. So we're basically doing the same thing we did in the previous row. And I believe by now you get the hang of the pattern we are trying to build. A shell stitch separated, a shell stitch on top of a shell stitch separated by a chain 5, chain 5 into the next shell, make a shell which is 2 double crochets, chain 2 and 2 more double crochets, all in that same stitch. So I'm now going to let you guys build your rows. So if you do not want this skirt to have a slit, you're going to repeat that last row until you get the length that you want. But if you want to have a slit, you're going to build this last row until you get to, personally I want my skirt to measure 13 inches and I want my slit to be 5 inches. So I'm going to deduct 5 inches from 13, that will give me 8. If you want your slit to be longer than 5, you're just going to make sure you get the full length of the skirt that you want minus the height of the slit you want. So that will give you the number of rows that you should work before you get to your slit. I don't know if that makes sense. Just deduct, get the full length of the skirt that you need, deduct the height that you want. If you want your slit to be so high, deduct that measurement from your initial full length that you want. So my slit is just going to be a simple slit of 5 inches, but if you want it longer, just play around with the math. Okay, I hope that makes sense, but do leave your questions down below and I'll be sure to answer them. If you do not want to have the slit, this is just what you keep doing till you get the height. Just keep on going round and round with this shell stitch pattern till you get to the height of your skirt. But as for me, I'll continue till I come back to a point where I'll stop before doing the slit and we shall see what to do next. So keep going and I'll meet you when you're done. Alright guys, so I'm back and I was able to build my skirt to the 8 inches I told you about. And when I reached the end, I made a slip stitch till the middle of the last shell, and this is what you should have at this point. I think these were about 13 rows for my case, and we can now go ahead and see how to work on the slit. If you did not have the slit, this is it, and you can just forward this video to the end to see how we work on the waist. But let's now get started on the slit. So if I did not mention, I'm very sorry, we need actually to have stitch markers as well for this part. So if you have them, please grab them because they're going to be essential when we are making this slit detail. So you're going to just align your skirt properly, as you see me do over here. Arrange it in the best way possible, because now it's time for us to align and determine where we want our slit to be. So you're going to fold it in half. Just observe what I'm doing here. Fold it in half, and when that is done, you're going to grab your stitch marker and place it into one of the folds. Okay, so I'm just going onto the outer fold. It will be easier for me that way when the stitch marker is on the outer fold, like that. And when that is done, that is the exact middle of our skirt. You're going to fold it over again into another half. So this will be able to give us the side points of the skirt. So you place a stitch marker, preferably of a different color, I suggest, just not to get confused. So I'm grabbing onto a blue one now and still onto the outer bit of the skirt. In that middle fold, I'm going to place this stitch marker. Just use different colors so that you don't get confused. So the blue will be for the side, while the pink will be the exact middle. And now you can go ahead and open up the skirt, and this is what we are having at this point. And personally, I wanted my slit to be on the right hand side. The right side, okay, like should I say the right side of my body is where I prefer to have my slit. So I was just basically arranging this in a way that I could determine the point where the slit would end up, but on the right side of my skirt. If you want it on the left, you can also arrange it in a way that you are going to have it at the left, but I'll be explaining more on that later. So just arrange it and have those stitch markers aligning in the middle, and one appears as the side stitch marker, one appears as the middle stitch marker. That is why I said use contrasting colors. Okay, so I want to shift this stitch marker because right now it's on my left, so I'm just determining the distance from the middle to the side, and mine is giving me 7 inches. Okay, so since this stitch marker had ended up on my left, yet I want my slit to be on the right, I'll just take that same measurement and measure it on the right hand side where I want my slit to end up. Okay, so as you can see, I took the time and I shifted the stitch marker to the right side. That is why now it's on this other side. But if you want it on the left, do the same thing as I've just done, because right now I'm looking at how I would wear the skirt. The way it's facing me is the way it will pass through my legs. Okay, so from that point, you're going to either grab a ruler or just make use of your tape measure and just go down from the stitch marker to the bottom where the skirt is ending at the moment. You can use the ruler or the tape measure. This is just to help us to get the point where the middle section of the slit is going to be. So when you identify that point, you're going to place another stitch marker. It's not like we are measuring anything, we're just using it to get a straight line from the top to the bottom. I don't know if that makes sense. And make sure that stitch marker, if possible, it ends up in the middle of a shell. Okay, let that stitch marker end up in the middle of a shell. Okay, so that point where we place that down stitch marker is going to be the point where we shall be slitting from, or it will be the midpoint of our slit. Alternatively, if you wanted to shift your slit, you can also take the measurement from the side where that stitch marker ends, and you can be able to shift it over to the left side. That's if you want your slit on the other opposite side. I hope that makes sense. Or if not, you can also count the number of shells from that side, count them, and then go to the other side from the corner and count where the end, where that stitch marker is, the number of shells you have from the corner to the point of the stitch marker. Guys, I hope I'm not saying a lot of things, but yeah, that's it. I hope the instructions have been clear. And just one more tip. Okay, if you find all this complicated, you're going to pass a drawstring through the top of your skirt, as you see me do, because we are going to gather the waist, and when you wear it, you can just determine where you want your slit to end up. That is even, I think, the easiest thing to do, because in the end we are going to gather this waist, so you can just gather it, wear it, then mark the point where you want your slit to end up, and you'll be good to go. But just make sure you put that marker into a shell. So let's get started on our slit. So you're going to grab your yarn and you're going to make a slip knot. After making your slip knot, you're going to attach it at that point where we have the stitch marker, okay, into the middle of that shell. Like I told you, you're going to remove the stitch marker and insert your yarn right there and fasten it. And you're going to start off by making a chain of 3 followed by a chain of 5, so those will be 8 chains. The chain 3 counts as double crochet, and the chain 5 will be the chain 5 spaces we've been making. So make a chain of 8, and after making that chain of 8, okay, we are going to now go into the next shell that we are looking at and place a shell in there, just like we've been doing. So 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 more double crochets, like that. Chain 5, place a shell on top of the next shell, so 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 more double crochets. So, and at this point I realized we actually shouldn't have removed that stitch marker. It's going to be helpful for us in the beginning stages of this slit. So just go back into the base of that chain 8 and place back the stitch marker, or into the middle of that shell where the chain 8 was coming from, and continue. Just don't remove the stitch marker for now until further notice. So keep placing a shell on top of every shell. Keep doing that all the way around till you get back to the point where we have the stitch marker, and I'll meet you back. Okay, so I'm back to the point where we have our stitch marker, and I'll just chain up 5, and I'm going to go into the space for that shell on top of that shell where the stitch marker is coming from, and I'm just going to end with one double crochet into it, one double crochet into that shell, and you can see it leaves us with a kind of V. Yeah, so that's how we shall be concluding this row. Just make one double crochet into that last shell where the stitch marker is coming from, and after that we are going to chain up 8, which counts as a double crochet and a chain 5, and turn your work. So for this slit we are going to start turning our work, and after you're done with the chain 8, you're going to go on top of the next shell you're looking at and place a shell. So 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 more double crochets, chain 5, make a shell on top of the next shell, 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets, chain 5, and make a shell on top of the next shell. So I'm going to repeat that all the way around. Repeat that all the way around until you bounce back once again to the point where we have the stitch marker, or where we are close to it, because now it's below us. So keep going, and I'll show you how to conclude the second row. So when you're done and we are at the point where the stitch marker is once again, but remember it's now below us because that was the first row, now this is the second row. So after your last chain of 5, you're going to go into the chain 5 space this time, not where the stitch marker is, but into that last chain 5. Was it a chain 5? I think, but just that space you're looking at after, and place 1 double crochet in there. So at this point we can remove the stitch marker because I feel it's now going to be confusing us. So now we don't need it. Just make sure you conclude with a double crochet into that last space, which I believe might have been the chain 8. So chain 8, again start the next row, chain 8, and then turn your work. So we shall always be starting our rows with a chain 8 and going into the next shell with a shell. So 2 double crochets in there, chain 2, and 2 double crochets, chain up 5, place a shell onto the next shell, chain up 5, place a shell onto the next shell, chain 5, a shell onto the next shell, and you're going to repeat that. So I believe by now you get the hang of the pattern, that we always start with a chain 8 and we shall always end with just 1 double crochet into the last space after the last shell. Okay, so keep on repeating this, or rewind to the previous row I did, and you keep on going all the way like that till you get now the full length of the skirt. Okay, do not mind about that valley. We shall see how to shape it after we are done getting to the full length of our skirt. So keep going around and round till you get the height. You'll just slit in that manner till you get the full height of the skirt, and I'll meet you after. So I'm at the end and I worked my last double crochet, and now it's time for us to create to smoothen out this slit so that it looks more appealing. As you can see, that's what I'm having at this point. My slit wasn't too long, it was just a short slit of 5 inches. So after that last double crochet, you're just going to tilt your work to the side like this, and you're going to place 2 single crochets into that space where you had ended. Place 2 single crochets into the next space, place 2 single crochets, 2 single crochets into the next space, 2 single crochets, 2 single crochets into the next, 2 single crochets into the next, and you're going to do this till you reach the middle of the slit. So at this point I was just trying to determine if I was there, but ideally you could have placed a stitch marker at the beginning before doing this, but I hadn't done that. So just make sure when you are at the tip of the slit, okay, I think I'm actually there at this point. So we are going to do something different right there. So we are at that V point, which is the exact middle of the stitch. So we are going to create a single crochet decrease. So what I will do, I'm just going to go into the side of the V and place a single crochet, but I will not complete it. I'll leave the 2 loops, and then I'll go into the middle now, the exact middle of the V, and make another single crochet. So you have 3 loops, and then you will just yarn over and pull through all the 3. So that's how we've made our single crochet decrease right there at the tip. So after that you can now continue placing just 2 single crochets into each and every space that you see. Just eyeball the spaces as you see them and place 2 single crochets to each of them. So this is basically just creating like an edging for the slit so that it's a bit neater. 2 single crochets into each and every space that you see. 2 there, 2, into that last one I'll also make 2 single crochets. And now to finish up, I'm going to just make a slip stitch on top of that double crochet from one of the shells. Just make a slip stitch right there, and you can see what we are having now for our slit. I think that looks neater. Something like that. So after that you're going to just chain 1 and cut off the yarn. Go through. So that's it for our slit, and now the only thing that's left is to work on the waistband at the top. So you can use this time to first weave in all the loose ends so that we only have the band left at the top. So you can weave them in, double knot them, and I'll be back to show you how to work on the band at the top. So to work on our band, we are going to make a slip knot and we are going to just make a very simple chain, but a long one that's going to be enough to go around the waist at the tip. Okay, it's going to be enough to go around the top so that it's able now to fix through our waist and make it fit at the waist, because right now when we look at the hip measurement and it's not going to be fitting at the waist if we don't draw it in. So make a very long chain of about 250 to 300, and I think I went too overboard. I did 350, but maybe make around 250 depending on the size of the model or the client, or you yourself is going to wear this. So after making my chain, and one thing I forgot to do earlier was to flip my work to the correct side. So when you're done with the slit, make sure you turn your work to the correct side, because I realized later that I was actually working this string on the wrong side of my work, and I had to redo the process of inserting the string. So after working the slit, make sure you flip your work and have it at the point where the stitches look neater. As you see here right now, my work is on the wrong side and the work is not looking as neat. Okay, but I rectified that later, but still just follow what I'm doing for the waist. So insert your chain into the darning needle. Yeah, this is the point where we get our darning needle. So I'm just going to tie that loose end, which I hadn't tied before. Yeah, I hadn't tied that. So, and I want to have a clean top of the skirt before I put this string. Guys, remember to turn your work to the correct side. I cannot emphasize this enough. I like it when my stitches look neater on the outside. So after threading your darning needle, you're going to eyeball the middle of the skirt and pass the string through the first 2 stitches at the middle and pull the string through. And now you're going to count 4 stitches, and into the middle of the 4 go in and out with the string like that. Count another 4, and into the middle of the 4 go in and out. Another 4, go in and out. Another 4 stitches, go into the middle and come out. So just in and out of every 4 stitches. You're going to keep on repeating that till you get back to the exact middle where the string had started. Also, another thing I should mention is ensure that the string is passing from the exact middle, but still maintaining the side where you want your slit to be, because all these are things that I realized later as I was working, that the string should actually be in the middle and still have the slit on the side where you want it to be. Just be careful as you're putting this string that you get everything accurate. Make sure you're on the right side, make sure your slit is on the side, and this string is going to be hanging from the middle of the skirt at the front. So check all those points before you place this string. So keep going all the way around. I'll meet you back when you're done with that step, and we shall see what to do next. So this is what I had after everything was nice and accurate. You can see the slit is in the side, or on the point where the thigh is, and I can now pull this string to fasten my waist, which is exactly what we wanted. And another thing that I would like to show you guys is how to also attach tassels on this drawstring. So if you're interested, please stick around for that. And as you can see, my chain was so long, but We have to also even it out in a way that it doesn't look short on one side and long on the other. So even out the string through the skirt, and even if it's not so equal at the end, but just make sure at least it's close to equal, and that you can work with it in a way that's meaningful. So keep on altering it as much as you would like till you feel like it's well balanced throughout the skirt. And now we are going to go ahead and see how we can attach tassels at the end, or if you want you can just stop here, or you can put some beads. You're still good to go at this point, but I thought I could also show you how I make tassels, which I'm going to be tying or fastening at the end of these strings. So after you've done setting it and drawing it properly, we are now going to go ahead and see how to add tassels to it. Alright, so for the tassels, you're just going to grab a simple book, not a very long one, but a short book, should I say, because these tassels or fringes are going to be not so long. So go on the corner of the book and just start rolling your yarn around and round, and I think I made very many rounds, but you can do at least like 30 rounds. Because I don't think I wanted very thick tassels, and I ended up even making a lot of rounds, but at least 30 rounds are enough. Just make them round and round the book, count them as you go, 1 2 3 4 5, like that, till you reach the point where you feel like you've made enough rounds around that edge. I think like that you can do, because they're going to be very simple tassels. So when you're done, I think I did about 50, but I even ended up not finishing all the fringe, so don't waste your yarn like that. So you're going to pull this loop through gently. Make sure you do not lose it. I almost lost it, but make sure you don't lose it, and hold that loop firmly like you see me do. And then you're going to grab your scissors and just cut into the middle of that loop that we made from the book. And you can go ahead and get rid of any yarn that has sort of protruded through the fringe, and leave only the even part of it. So that is the height that I got for my tassels, but don't worry, we can even still like shape it and cut it. If you don't want it that long, it's okay. So now that I've gotten the fringe for the tassel, I'm going to now count the number of fringes I want. I don't remember exactly how many I counted, but just have a couple of them, maybe 20 or 15, and then you're going to grab your drawstring and align that fringe up to the point where that loose end from the string ended. Just place the fringe on top of the string like that, and you're going to grab some yarn, preferably two strands, two equal strands, and you're going to lay that fringe together with the string on top of that yarn that you've gotten to tie. So just align the thread, let me call it the thread, into the middle of the fringe, and you're going to make a very tight knot. We are going to make it about 3 or 4 times, and I think I did 4 times because I like to be sure that everything is nice and tight. So 2, 3, and the 4th. Okay, so you should have something like that. Don't mind about the protruding parts. We are going to even this out later. So you should have something like that, and you're going to grab yet another 2 strands of yarn. Just grab your yarn and cut some more thread, which we are going to now use to also tie this together. So preferably cut two strands. So once again, you're going to lay them flat, and then you're going to place the fringe on top. Once again, just eyeballing the top of the fringe now, because you want that ball to be at the top. So eyeball the top, or the center should I say, and make a tight knot once, twice, and thrice. Because I like to be extra careful, I added the 4th time. So that's what you should have, and you can also go ahead and just pull very gently onto the bottom of the fringe so that it looks more even at the top. Don't pull too hard that you start to disfigure the tassel at the top. Just pull gently until you feel like you're more satisfied with how it looks, or it looks more appealing in your sight. Yeah, arrange it gently like that. Keep arranging it till you're satisfied with the way it appears. I should have something like that. So now it's time for us to level it at the bottom. We're now going to level it at the bottom. And what I like to do, I like to first cut away the parts that look like they are obviously protruding out a lot. I just cut those out manually. Then to shape this or to align it, I just slide my fingers through it, or I slide the fringe in between my fingers like this, and then I cut away the excess or level it according to my fingers. But be careful, do not hurt yourself. Just be careful on this step not to cut yourself. So level it in between your fingers and cut away the excess that is protruding. And that's what we have for the tassel. Once again, if you feel you're not yet satisfied, you can just pull on the fringe to level it at the top. And that's what you should have. So you're going to repeat the same instructions for the other drawstring. Repeat exactly what I showed you for this tassel and make another tassel. Alright, so I was able to finish up my second tassel, and this is what I had at the end. It's not a must to have this, but I was just showing you yet another bonus sort of tactics. So that's it guys for this tutorial, and as I said, my string was so long. Please make sure you make this string not too long. I think in the future, given a chance, I will redo it, but yeah, that's basically it guys for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I pray you can also leave a positive comment below. Do subscribe, turn on notifications when I upload a new video so that you're able to know when that happens, and do share with your friends. Tag me if you make this. My Instagram is the crochet companion _UG, And yeah, do let me know what else you'd like to see me create. Take care, and I'll see you in another tutorial. Bye for now, and take care.